In the finale to our combat series, we're going to implement ragdolling, damage indicators, and a combo counter. Back in our combat server script, we're going to set up some impact animations for when our target gets punched. So real quick, I'm going to show you what my animations look like. So I'm going to go to plugins, Moon Animator. So here's the punch impact animation. Very simple. It is 10 frames long. And here's the air impact. So this is 20 frames long, and it just makes it look like they're being punched up into the air. So once you have something along those lines, you can come into your server script. And right under here, we'll define the impact animations. So we'll say local impact anims is a table. And we'll do something similar to what we did before. So we'll get our animations and just format them like we did before. So now once you have those, it's time to actually put them into our script. So we'll come down to where we're inflicting damage, and right at this line, we'll create a new instance of an animation, parented under the target. But we don't want to set the animation ID just yet because we want to determine which impact animation to actually play. So we'll come down here. So this is where it determines whether or not the enemy is going to get knocked up into the air or not. So what we'll do is we'll say if they do get knocked into the air, then the animation's ID is going to be equal to impact animations at index 2, because that was where we stored our air impact animation. But else, we'll just do the other animation instead. So now we actually need to play this. So right under this conditional, we can say local impact track is equal to data.target. Then we want to get their humanoid and their animator. And we're going to load that animation into them. Now we can play it. And let's go ahead and test this to see if it works. Yep, so you can see every time we punch him, he gets knocked back a little bit. And he plays the air impact animation as well. Alright, so with that all functional, the next thing I want to do is implement ragdolling. So I'm not going to go over it too in detail because I did already make a video on it, but I will demonstrate what everything's doing if you don't understand. So I'll link the ragdoll system in the description. So we're just going to insert this into our workspace. And we want to take this player manager right here, put it into server script service. This is just going to manage the ragdoll value. Put the ragdoll client into our starter character scripts. And then our ragdoll handler module script is going to go into server script service as well. And the ragdoll, actually we don't even need this ragdoll remote event. Okay, so I'll briefly explain what this does if you don't understand. So this is just a module script, which lets us use the function outside of this script. And it works by looping through all the joints in the player. And it replaces those joints with ball socket constraints to do the ragdolling effect. And it disables the motor 60 joint. And the unragdoll pretty much just does the opposite. So it sets the ragdoll value to false and re-enables the motor 60s, but it disables the ball socket constraints. And we also have our client script, so it checks for when this ragdoll value gets changed, and when it's true, then we go into a physics state, so that way the player can't control the character. And then when it's false, it just gives control back to the player and puts our character back on their feet. So with that out of the way, we can now use that. So first what we want to do is reference our module script. So right here we'll say local ragdoll handler is equal to require. This lets us get access to the script's functions. Alright, so now we can use this. So I only want a ragdoll when we do the down punch thing. So right below where we're using down force, we'll say ragdoll handler dot ragdoll. Then we gotta pass in the character, so the data dot target. And then after 2 seconds, we'll unragdoll. So ragdoll handler dot unragdoll data dot target. So now if we test this, it should be functional. And I missed that combo. Yeah, and as you can see, he gets ragdolled and goes flying. So I want to turn down the force a little bit, so we'll go back into our combat server. And where we actually apply the downwards force, let's change this to negative 5,000. That should make it a little bit cleaner. Yep, and he just goes right below us. Alright, and additionally, I just want to see if they're ragdolled, then we don't want them to take damage. So if data.target.ragdoll.value. So if we're ragdolled, then return and in, so that way they don't take damage. Alright, so now once we have all that, we can get started on our damage indicators. So the way we'll do that is we'll use billboard GUIs, so I'll quickly demonstrate how to do that. Okay, so insert a part into our workspace. Then we'll rename this to indicator. And we'll insert a billboard GUI. And what this is, so typically when you put UI elements on the screen, you need an object called screen. But this only allows one player at a time to see the UI element. But a billboard GUI allows everyone to see it. And it gives it some 3D effects too. So first of all, let's make this part invisible and make sure we can't interact with the actual part. So turn all of these off and then anchor it. And now with our billboard GUI, what we can do is insert a text label. So now you can see we'll move around and it follows us. And let's just change some properties so it looks nice. So we'll turn the background off by setting that to 1. Come to the text and we'll just say, we'll do some placeholder text. We'll say -10. Scale the text right here. Change the color. I want to change it to this really red color. And then lastly, we'll change the font. I want to do something like permanent marker. There we go. That looks pretty good. So once we have our indicator, we can go ahead and put it into replicated storage. And now every time our target's punched, we'll just clone that and have it float off their head. So we need to get access to the damage indicator. So we'll say local indicator. And anytime I'm gonna clone a part, I always like to do temp after it, like template, just to let us know that it's not the current one. So we'll say rs wait for child indicator. And now right where we're doing the damage, we can actually clone it. So I'll just put it down here. So local indicator is equal to indicator temp clone. We'll parent it to the workspace. And then the position is going to be, we'll say 3 studs above our target. So plus a vector 3, and 3 studs on the Y. So now every time we punch our target, we should see that indicator. Yeah. So you can see it, but it doesn't update the damage and it just stays in one spot. So we'll fix that real quick. So we'll use a tween to get this floating above their head. So we get access to the tween service. And if you don't know what a tween is, it's just a simple way of animating an object. So I'll kind of explain it as we go through this. Right under where we're creating our indicator, we'll make this new tween. So this is pretty much just an animation. So we'll do ts::create. We're creating a new tween for this indicator object. And then tween info dot new. And this is just the time. So we'll say it'll take 1 second to animate this. And then we'll move under here. just so it looks a little bit cleaner. We'll make a new table. This is our property table for what property we want to animate. And in this case, we just want to do the position. So the position is going to be the indicator's position, and we want it to float up to, let's say, 6 studs above where it is. So we'll say vector3.new and then 6 on the y. So now we can go ahead and do tween : play. Tweens also have a signal called complete. So what we'll do is we'll say when the tween is completed, we'll wait and then we'll destroy the indicator. Okay, so this will animate the indicator to float above the head. Once it's completed, it'll destroy the indicator. Let's go and test this out. So we punch him once, yep, and it floats right above him and goes away. So we can continue to punch, and it works. So at the moment, our impact animations don't play out until this tween is completed, and that's because of this wait statement right here. So what we're gonna do is store all of this inside of a separate thread, which is kind of just a separate lane of traffic in our script. So right above this, we'll go ahead and create a new function for this. Call it display damage, and it's gonna take a character as a parameter. Then inside of it, we'll go ahead and copy and paste this whole tween sequence. And we'll replace data.target with our character parameter. Now, instead of just calling on it normally, what we'll do is task.spawn. And this is what actually spawns a new thread. Then inside of an anonymous function, there we can call the display damage function and pass in data.target. So now this function shouldn't interrupt the rest of the flow of the program. So let's go ahead and test that out. Yeah, so as you can see, the dummy's animating with the tweens. So the next thing to do is have the text actually update with the damage we're doing. So we can do this by passing in a damage parameter, and we'll get that damage by going to our display damage function. And if you remember, we store this damage inside of a table called punch data, so we'll just access it through there. So we'll say punch data at the index of data.combo, and then we'll get the damage key from that. So that'll be our damage, and then we'll update the text by going to indicator, accessing the billboard UI, then the text label, and then update the text from it. And we'll do minus ... This concatenates a variable with a string, so we can do damage, and we should see it updating with our damage. So we can go ahead and hit play. And yeah, as you can see on that uppercut, it displays -20. Alright, so the last thing I want to do is make a little combo tracker in, I don't know, the bottom left of our screen, so that way we can see what combo we're on, and if we don't punch for long enough, then it'll get reset. So we'll start by, we'll go into our starter GUI, and you want to add this screen GUI, so just go in here, screen GUI. Once you have that added, you're then gonna press this plus sign on it, create a new text label, and then just drag it to where you want it. So I'm gonna drag mine to right here, change some properties, so we don't want a background, change this transparency to 1, scroll all the way down here, let's change this, just give it some placeholder text, so we'll say combo is 0, not parentheses. There we go. Then we want to scale the text, change it, I'll do permanent marker again, I'll change the text color to this really red, maybe scale it up a little bit, and then I want to give it kind of like a black outline, so we'll just say text stroke transparency is 0. And there we go, now it has a little outline. And then I'll name this combo tracker. So now what we want to do is have some kind of value that will update this text. So the easiest way to do that is, we already have this player manager script, and this creates a Boolean instance for Ragdoll. So what we can do is create an instance for our combo, And every time that gets updated, we'll just update the text. So we'll create this real quick. Alright, so now that we have it on our character, what we can do is go into our server script, and every time we land a hit on the server side, we can update this. So right under where we're taking damage, we can say data.character.combo.value is plus equal to 1. So every time we land a hit, we'll increment our combo up by 1. And now under this combo tracker text, we can insert a local script. We'll just call this combo counter. And what we'll do is we'll get access to our combo value as well as our player. So once we get access to that, we can just detect when it gets changed. So these values have a signal called changed. So every time this combo value gets changed, we need to get access to our actual text label. So let's do that up here. We also want to get access to the screen, so we'll do the screen is the parent of the parent. And then the text label is going to be screen.combo tracker. Alright, so now we can say combo label.text is equal to combo, and then we'll concatenate the combo value. So combo.value. Alright, so now every time that combo value changes, it should update this text. Let's go ahead and test that. We punch once. Combo is not available. Oh, okay. You want to do character wait for child combo. So now we shouldn't get any errors. And yeah, as you can see, every time we punch, it updates this combo value, but it never resets. So we can fix that real quick. So what I'll do is I'll introduce you to the run service and the heartbeat function. So we'll go ahead and get access to the run service. Because what we want to do is we want to check in real time how many seconds have elapsed since the last punch. And if a certain amount of time has passed, then we'll reset that. So what we'll do is we'll call on this function called heartbeat from the run service. And it essentially just fires off a function every frame. So we'll connect this to a function, and we'll say if tick minus, and then let's make a new variable. So we'll make a variable for our last combo. And this is very similar to the way we would reset the combo in our client script. So if tick minus last combo is greater than, we'll say 2 seconds, then we want to reset our combo. But we can't do it from a client script because it won't replicate to the server, and that'll cause us some issues later on. So the best way to fix this is we'll send a remote event to reset it from the server. So we'll create a new remote event, call this reset re. Go ahead and get access to all that. Alright, now we can go ahead and use it here. And now we'll listen for it in our combat server script. So on this reset event, we'll connect that to a function. Okay, so because we're calling it, or because we're firing it from a client, it'll automatically pass in our player. So we'll get access to our character. So player.character.combo.value is equal to 0. And that'll automatically update our text and reset it to 0. But we also need a way of keeping track of our combo. So every time this combo value gets changed, then the last combo is going to be equal to tick, which is just the current time. Okay, so let's just see how that works right now. So we'll punch, gets updated, and after 2 seconds you can see that it resets. And it's being really laggy right now with the animations. Okay, but as you can see, it's not continuing to update, and that's because we forgot one thing. We need to set last combo to tick when it gets reset as well. So now if we go ahead and test this, we should see that everything works normally. So we'll get 3 punches in, or 4 punches, and then it gets reset. Don't forget to leave a like if this video was helpful, and let's see how fast we can reach 1K subscribers so I can take my next steps as a content creator. As always, leave any feedback in the comments and let me know what kind of tutorials you would like to see next.